This is Coach Lee, and you're listening to The Door Report.
Lizard, 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 lizard.
Can't lie, it's not gonna be easy to get you back in the game.
Back in the game. I am the fucking game, pal.
Lloyd!
Welcome back into the Door Report and welcome into episode 328 on a lovely Tuesday evening, August 12th, 2025. I am Will Byrum, joined as always by my co-host, Trevor Hulan, aka Hack Squad, Jim Duggan. We're also joined by our producer here, Phoebe. You cannot see her behind the Vanderbilt helmet here, but here at the Door Report, we are presented by 615 Collectibles. If you're into sports cards or sports memorabilia, check out 615 Collectibles on eBay. Items include NFL team packs, graded cards, individual cards, and more. Shipping is always fast and free. We read it last time. We have an additional ad read this time again. Spoiler, it's the same one as last week. Rhoback activewear. There's only one way to describe Rhoback. Best fit, best feel. That's it. I thought there was going to be three there. My bad. For those who aren't familiar with Rhoback, they are completely changing the game with their incredibly comfortable activewear. Rhoback has released so many items within their new licensed game day collection, and it's our favorite. With novel polo designs and clean hoodie and Q-zip designs for some of your favorite schools, it's definitely worth checking out. Nobody else in the market is pairing these levels of custom designs with the quality of activewear that Rhoback is. Rhoback's everyday shorts or their Delta performance pants are the perfect pairing as well. They're both super comfortable, have an elastic waistband, and great fabric that is made to have the appearance of a nice short look, but the comfort for a day on the move. Rhoback has also been proudly leading the NIL charge, having signed partnerships with multiple college football stars, past and present, and are becoming the go-to brand for college athletes across the country. You can see in the new Netflix documentary, Any Given Saturday, old Brian Kelly's rocking Rhoback pretty consistently. That's a man you definitely want to be like. Use code VAN20, that is VAN20, VAN20, on Rhoback.com for a generous 20% off for all new customers. That is spelled RHOBACK.com, Rhoback.com. That is 20% off all performance polos, shorts, and more with code VAN20, VAN20, no spaces. Shout out to Rhoback. The moment that the Rhoback products that we have been graciously presented with come in, I will rock it on the first episode. I'm not going to lie. I think I might have gotten my new game day polo on Rhoback.com. So I'll be rocking that at the first tailgate, no doubt. Shout out to Rhoback.
Who would you rather be, Brian Kelly or Hugh Freeze?
Man. So Brian Kelly.
I think I would rather be Brian Kelly as well.
Legitimately, that does not mean I'm a big
No,
Brian
we do
Kelly
not.
fan.
We do not condone what happened that evening.
But I mean this. Hugh Freeze is my number one least favorite coach in all of college football. And Any Given Saturday, he was the only coach that I could not stand listening to. He talks to his team like he's a Southern Baptist preacher. It's crazy. Like these pre-scripted, horribly unmotivational speeches. Hugh Freeze, he just like makes my skin crawl.
I can't stand Hugh Freeze.
At least Brian Kelly, not the best guy. He at least kind of is that.
Yeah.
He just is Brian Kelly. Hugh Freeze is like in this weird guise of being a godly man, and it's like all for show. I don't know. I'm not a Hugh Freeze guy.
Learn from the best with Jerry Falwell.
But on episode 328, we have a locked and loaded episode ahead. It is part 2 of the Vanderbilt roster preview. Last episode, we did the defensive preview, about an hour and a half defensive preview, some great questions from premium message board members. Today, we have the offense, a very interesting group with a lot of returning talent, just like the defense, a lot of returning talent outside of the offensive line, which we are going to talk about pretty heavily on this episode. But Trevor, we've been at fall camp now for 11 straight days. TDR has not missed a single day. We've been represented. I've been to 7 of 11. You've been to 9 of 11, I believe, is the current count. And you're going to surpass me because I'm not going to be able to go tomorrow or Friday, unfortunately. But I will be there Saturday.
Yeah.
For the second scrimmage of fall camp. But how's the fall camp experience?
Well, here's the thing. TDR, known as the hardest workers when it comes to Vandy podcasting, Vandy media. For the scrimmage, we were the first there. We were the last ones out. So I tweeted that. The TDR work ethic is, how should I say it? You can't match it.
Off our rocker.
You cannot match the work effort of TDR. But I have got to enjoy fall camp just from a personal anecdote. It's just nice to go and watch like the team that you love practice. And we'll get into this a little bit more. I'm not sure how much inside baseball we have really gained from fall camp, but I have enjoyed it. It has made me very excited for the football season. I thought I couldn't get any more excited for Vanderbilt football, but somehow, alas, here I am.
Yeah, there are some specific position battles that we can't fully discuss that have been intriguing. There are a few little tidbits that have been intriguing, a few position groups that have overperformed or underperformed slightly. But I would say 90 to 95% of my opinions and takes about this team are basically the exact same that they were going into fall camp.
That's about where I am as well.
So, and how much of fall camp, you got to take a lot of the fall camp reports with a grain of salt as well.
Yeah, and that's coming from dudes who have been at fall camp every single practice. Take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, so it's been very informative. Shout out to Vanderbilt Comms for allowing us the privilege of attending fall camp. It's been great to have media availability with players and coaches and be out there and get to experience, kind of see how this team functions. But as far as like definitive takeaways that you can fully say, I expect to see X, I expect to see Y, I expect to see Z, that's a little tougher to have out of fall camp. I'm not going to lie. I expected to have some more definitive kind of view-changing revelations throughout fall camp than I've really had.
Yeah, and I think, too, with the track record of Vanderbilt fall camp, if you go back to 2023, the reports out of fall camp were that A.J. Swan was the next Jay Cutler and that his offense was going to be unstoppable. Lo and behold, we entered the regular season and quickly found out that that was not the case. Last year, the reports out of fall camp where this offense couldn't move the ball, they are going to be a historically bad offense. And lo and behold, they come out against Virginia Tech and just drop points on the top of their noggin. So I say that because you can learn about – I think this is what I've gained from fall camp thus far. I think you can gain insight into specific guys.
Yep.
I do not think you can gain insight into the team as a whole or even specific units on either side of the ball. Now, there have been some things that we've been a little bit surprised by, but we also, this is something that I've had to remind myself is it is an inter-squad practice. They are inter-squad scrimmages. Everybody's getting rotated constantly. You just have to take that with a grain of salt. And really, we'll know more come Charleston Southern. And we'll especially know more, if you said, come Virginia Tech.
Yeah, come Virginia Tech. That's the game that I'm waiting on. I mean, if Vanderbilt comes out, you can really, in my opinion, only learn negatives from the Charleston Southern game. If they come out and struggle, then that's going to be a negative view. It's going to feel like in the 2023 season when they still beat Hawaii pretty handily, but you felt the struggle during that game where you're like, oh, shit.
It was a little bit of a grind.
We kind of all ignored it and pushed it to the side because they got the win. And fans are hopeful, but there was that gut feeling leaving the Hawaii game in 2023, like, oh no, this is not what we expected to see whatsoever. And we attributed that more to Hawaii getting a little better, but in reality, it was Vanderbilt getting worse. So we're going to continue to give fall camp takeaways. We're going to continue to be there. I learned quite a bit from the scrimmage, I think, more than the actual fall camp practices, which is to be expected. But I'm very excited for the scrimmage Saturday night to see the boys, and I will have an offensive stat pack up for that one after the scrimmage ends, either Sunday morning or late Saturday night. So look out for that one. But we have a locked and loaded episode 328, like I said. Before we get into segment one and the Vanderbilt offensive roster preview, we are now a part of the On3 Publisher Network. Visit thedorreport.com today and subscribe to a monthly or annual premium membership and support TDR for access to premium content and our premium message board behind closed doors. If you sign up today for an annual membership, you can join for $1 for the first 7 days, and you also get an annual year-long membership for free alongside your On3 membership to The Athletic. Amazing deal. Like, you just sign up for it, just for the On3 national writers, The Athletic writers, and then you get the Door Report on top of all that. Like, that's the best deal in all of college athletics coverage.
Without a discount, that's traditionally about a $200 price tag.
Yeah.
Combining those, so that's about a $200 price tag for.
Yeah, I honestly, this is not a sales pitch thing. Like, I genuinely don't know how long that deal is going to go on. So I would highly recommend you sign up pretty soon, because we did not get a definitive end date on that one.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It was kind of up in the air. So it's probably going to be mainly a preseason thing. We're not 100% sure. We'll be sure to update you guys. But go and subscribe today at thedorreport.com. Also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Door Report. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our podcast is available on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and Google Podcasts. And while you're at it, give our podcast 5 stars and a review on iTunes. And just an emphasis again, subscribe to the YouTube channel. That helps us out a lot. We are posting media availability every single day from fall camp. It is now time for segment 1.
We must stop the terror. I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive.
Welcome back into episode 328 of the Door Report, and welcome into segment 1. We have the full 2025 Vanderbilt offensive preview ahead. And let's just jump right into it, Trevor. I don't know if we need to piddle-paddle around too much.
No, I got my roster right here. I'm a pen and paper kind of guy, but Phoebe is sitting on it, and I don't want to disturb her. But eventually, I'm sorry, little one, I have to get this out.
So I do want to actually piddle-paddle for 1 second. And I put out a clip from last episode, and it was the most heavily commented about clip. But it was me going on a red-faced rant about people talking about Vanderbilt's schedule being tough, which is a true statement. It is a tough schedule, but my point was it's always going to be tough. Now, where I did not elaborate enough is there are obviously degrees to tough within the SEC. I'm not denying that part. My whole point is you're never going, ever going to look at Vanderbilt's schedule and say, pretty easy slate ahead. And it's like, I know everyone loves to reference the ESPN FPI SOS, which has Florida at number 1, Vanderbilt at number 2. But there are plenty of rankings with strength of schedule that have Vanderbilt outside the top 10, hell, outside the top 20 in strength of schedule nationally. So it's always going to be tough. I equate it to this dumb, I don't know what the correct term for this is, but it's like when people will say in mid-August, and they're like, man, it's hot out there. I'm like, it's August in Tennessee. It's always hot in August in Tennessee. There's no need to constantly talk about it being hot. Now, there are degrees to hot in August, but it's always going to be hot in August in Tennessee. And I'll make a crazy bet with you. I bet in January it's going to get pretty cold too. That's basically the best equivalent I can draw there. So that's where my rant ended. There is obviously nuance to it. I understand that. But let's not pretend we're ever going to evaluate Vanderbilt's season schedule and say, easy road ahead. I just see a bunch of easy games on this schedule. You're in the damn SEC. That's never going to happen. Just had to get that off my chest here to start. Yeah. We talked about this plenty before the episode, so Trevor's probably sick of hearing me talk about this, to be honest. But we're going to jump in to the offensive preview now after that brief piddle paddle. I'm going to read off to start out just like I did on the defense. the 2024 offensive rankings for Vanderbilt and their season stats during the 2024 year. This is according to teamrankings.com. Really wish I would have gone to this site before the defensive preview. Instead, I wrote down all of the notes where they ranked nationally. This is a lot easier. They have that right here for me next to the offensive stats. So just to remind people, Vanderbilt was a heavy run-first offense. If you're a Vanderbilt fan, you already know that. We emphasized it a lot last year. Vanderbilt ran the ball the 12th most in the entire country as a percentage of their plays, running the ball over 60% of the time. On the flip side, only threw the ball about 39% of the time, 123rd in the country. Vanderbilt did rank, however, a 102nd in yards per rush last season, only averaging 3.7 yards per rush. They averaged 132.3 rushing yards per game. That ranked 89th in the country. So Vanderbilt ran it a lot, but did, and I will add on the caveat, they ran the ball 36 times per game. That was only 68th in the country. So while they did run the ball as a very high percentage of their plays, Vanderbilt was a ball control offense, just didn't run a ton of plays in general. So their average stats of total yardage, even if they are electric and elite, are never going to be top 30, top 40 offensive stats for yard production. That's just never going to happen. As far as the passing game completion percentage, Vanderbilt completed 62.4% of their passes. That was 50th in the country, 8.3 yards per pass. That was actually top 25 in the country, 22nd in the country. They only threw the ball 22.4 times per game. That was 127th in the country. Passing yards per game, 185.2. That is 109th in the country. Percentage of interceptions thrown as a percentage of pass attempts, top 10 in the country. Only 1.49% of passes thrown were intercepted. Quarterback sacks, very good for Vanderbilt. Middle of the pack to slightly above middle of the pack. And very above middle of the pack if you're talking playing SEC defensive lines. Vanderbilt only allowed sacks on 5.61% of quarterback dropbacks. That was 53rd in the country. A lot of that has to do with actually having a mobile quarterback out there as well as some pocket presence. So combo of O-line and the position group that we're about to get into. But I want to talk about turnovers for a second because that was a very, very big key to Vanderbilt's success. Vanderbilt was number one. I want to repeat that. Number one in the country in giveaways per game. They averaged 0.6 giveaways per game. That is crisp football, well-coached football. I expect that to take a little bit of a jump this year in the number of turnovers because I think they're going to try to do more offensively. I don't think that's a bad thing if they maybe rank 15th or 25th in the country, but they can't have a blow up in those numbers exponentially.
Well, what I want to add on that quickly is I do expect that number to go up as well, simply because the lack of turnovers that Vanderbilt had last year, whenever you look at it, is truly almost a mind-boggling statistic, and I don't know how sustainable that is. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
It's great, but if, let's say, they get knocked back to, like you said, 15th, 16th, that's still good.
Yep.
But like 0.6 a game is kind of unheard of.
Just incredible job. And that's obviously going to happen a lot more if you're running the ball as much as Vanderbilt is too. But shout out to the guys for holding on to the football, Diego Pavia for making the right decisions. The only thing that Pavia can probably do better, quote unquote, this year is number one, staying healthy fully. Number two, upping the completion percentage to over 60%. But if he does up the completion percentage, that means less throwaways, less uncatchable balls, which likely means more turnovers. So that's kind of a give and take situation. I do want to emphasize Vanderbilt's time of possession. They possessed the ball for about 51.75% of the game. That was 39th in the country. Now, something on the mental side that can be improved for Vanderbilt, this is not an offensive or defensive stat. This is just both, and I forgot to bring it up last episode. Vanderbilt ranked 115th in penalty yards per penalty, 9.6 penalty yards per penalty. Penalty yards per game, Vanderbilt averaged 51.4. That was 72nd in the country. And actually, penalties per game, Vanderbilt ranked 39th in the country, only 5.9 or 5.3. But when Vanderbilt committed penalties, they were major penalties. So Vanderbilt needs to clean up the penalty side of things and keep turnovers where they were.
I think for the penalties, I think that'll go down because let's look on the defensive side. One of the main people who committed a lot of those penalties was Colby Taylor. Colby Taylor, I will stand on this, and Will can vouch for me. Colby Taylor has been very impressive, not only on the field, fall camp, but also how he's carried himself. Very impressive. If he can't clean those up, that's going to bring those down. In terms of the offensive line, do you remember who committed most of those last year? Gunnar Hansen.
Yes, he did.
Gunnar Hansen committed a lot of personal fouls. Gunnar Hansen now at Florida State. Wish him nothing but the best. Great guy. I love Gunnar. But I expect those numbers to go down as well, with Colby Taylor maybe simmering down, staying a little bit more cool, calm, and collected with Gunnar Hansen no longer on that offensive line.
So we expect giveaways to go slightly up. That's just inevitable. And we expect penalties to go down slightly. And we'll look back and see if we were correct after the season. But that's very far in the future. Let's get into these individual position previews because that's what the people really came for. Let's start with the easiest one, / the main one, / the most important one. That's quarterback. Vanderbilt fans very aware of what they have at quarterback, and that is Diego Pavia returning. If you're not aware Diego Pavia is returning, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but Diego Pavia is back. Nate Johnson, Vanderbilt's quote-unquote backup from last season / kind of gadget quarterback, is gone. He is now a wide receiver back at Utah. And then Vanderbilt has the same backups from last season, basically. Blaze Berlowitz, Drew Dickey, Whit Muschamp, and then they have Jack Elliott coming in as a freshman. Also, Jeremy St. Hilaire, who I doubt will be dressing at any point during the season. But I also made a quick little spreadsheet for each position group showing the amount of returning production. So for quarterback, total pass yards produced last season by quarterbacks was 2,310. Vanderbilt returns 99.3% of that pass yard production. Nate Johnson passed for 17 yards last season. Rushing yard production. Vanderbilt rushed at the quarterback position for a total of 914 yards. Vanderbilt returns 87.5% of that rushing production. Nate Johnson ran for 114. Diego Pavia ran for 800. Passing touchdowns, 20 total in the season. Vanderbilt returns 100% of that production. Rushing touchdowns. Vanderbilt returns 8 of their 9 quarterback rushing touchdowns from last season. If you're math challenged, that is 88.9%. So Vanderbilt returns everything at quarterback. That's the gist of it. Expectations for Pavia this year. I guess that's all we can really talk about with this position.
You know what you got in Diego Pavia. You know he's electric. You know he's always going to have your offense within striking distance. You know he's going to make electric plays that Vanderbilt really has never seen before in terms of quarterback play. I mean, what more can you say? I think last year Diego Pavia was electric. Obviously, a little bit of injuries with now what we know was a torn hamstring or maybe like a partially torn hamstring. The fact that
his exact quote was a tear in his hamstring.
Yeah. So what that leads me to believe that it was a strain of some sort, because that still technically is a tear. If Diego Pavia can stay healthy, and what I mean by healthy is like fully healthy, in terms of like no strains, no tears, no pulls, nothing like that. Call me biased, say what you want. I am not one to doubt Diego Pavia and what I've seen from him. Everything he has said he's going to do, he has done, from JUCO to New Mexico State to Vanderbilt. Call me biased, call me dumb. I don't care. The sky's the limit for Diego Pavia as long as he stays healthy.
Yeah, there is the common media question whenever I join as a guest. Is it going to impact Diego Pavia with having more film on him? I mean,
he's been playing football for 4 years. Like, okay, I'm going to go on a rant now. Guys, he has been playing football for 4 years. He has 4 years of film. What are you talking about? Last year, they had 3 years of film on him. Do we think that these SEC coaches who get paid millions of dollars to win football games and these coordinators that get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to scheme up did not have that tape from the past 3 years? Guys, they knew everything about Diego Pavia. This idea that, Diego Pavia snuck up is very lazy. It's not like he was this redshirt freshman who had no tape on. He'd been playing football for 3 years. We can go on YouTube right now and watch 12 hours of Diego Pavia clips, not including from Vanderbilt, just New Mexico State. We can watch 12 hours worth of Diego Pavia film. That's a lazy take. Anybody who suggests that, I'm sorry, you're done.
Yeah, it's not the class. This is the issue I have with that. He's in his second year playing for Vanderbilt. He's not in his second year playing college football this year.
It's not his second year playing with Tim Beck and Jerry Kill.
Yeah, exactly. In the same offense, he's not a sophomore slump candidate. That's what bothers me with that question. It's defined as like a sophomore slump. So Vanderbilt knows what they have in Diego Pavia. What we have seen in fall camp is exactly what you want to see out of your returning star quarterback. Now, there has been a lot of discussion about the backup quarterback situation, and I know, Trevor, you had a little bit of a rant to go on about that.
Yeah, and so I will start out with, I think and I think a lot of our posters actually asked about this on the board. I think the questions and concerns about the backup quarterback situation are warranted. What we have seen out of camp from the backup quarterbacks has just frankly not been good. So a lot of people have been saying, oh, it sounds like if Diego Pavia goes down, then Vanderbilt's screwed. So I have a couple of things to say about this. Let's go back to last year. If Diego Pavia went down last year, you think this court, and this is no shade to Nate Johnson whatsoever. Please believe me when I say this. If you think this year's quarterback room isn't great, last year's was way worse. You say, oh, we had Nate Johnson. Guys, there's a reason Nate Johnson doesn't play the quarterback position anymore. Blaze Berlowitz, he's not getting moved to a wide receiver. He's not getting moved to running back. Blaze Berlowitz is a quarterback. Our backup, whatever you want to say, if it was him or Dickey, on the depth chart, the backup quarterback was a wide receiver. Last year should have raised much more concern for Diego Pavia in terms of what happens to him in deep throw and Nate Johnson. So I'll say this year, I think Vanderbilt's quarterback room is in a little bit better of a situation because even though Blaze Berlowitz and Drew Dickey, I don't think have had good camps at all, I would take them over Nate Johnson. That's coming from somebody and two dudes who have seen Nate Johnson in a practice sense. I stand by that. Additionally, in terms of quarterback depth, I think, and I don't want to get upset with people because in terms of NIL and in terms of the transfer portal, we're still in a very new era of college football. Traditionally, what we think of whenever we think of quarterback rooms is you have your guy, you recruit through high school football. You have a quarterback that's sitting there waiting under the wing, learning, waiting for his time within the offense. Guys, that is done. That does not exist anymore within college football. The era of bringing in a freshman from Texas, having him sit, waiting for his turn, that's over. That's not a Vanderbilt thing either. That's not a Vanderbilt problem. That is a college football problem. And so I wanted to bring this up in terms to maybe bring this to light as to how ununique of a situation this is and how this impacts not just Vanderbilt, but every SEC team and every team in the nation. Last year, 2024, the transfer portal, 69% of the portal was quarterbacks. 69%. I apologize.
Yeah, that's
38. I apologize. I got my numbers mixed up. 38% of the portal was quarterbacks. And I got another one for you. Out of Power 4, how many Power 4 starters do you think are transfers? I'm going to go for a pause a little bit, let you think about it. 66% of Power 4 quarterback starters are transfers. This is not a Vanderbilt issue, guys. This is a college football issue. Why would a freshman kid who has all the talent in the world, who is not going to see the field within the next year or two, why would they stay when they can just go somewhere else and play immediately? This is not a Vanderbilt issue. This is an everybody issue. We say, oh, Diego Pavia goes down, the offense is going to struggle. Yeah, guys, if the star quarterback of any team goes down, that offense is going to struggle. Death, taxes, and a team struggling whenever their quarterback goes down. Those are the three universal rules in life.
There's the new part of college athletics, which you hit on well, which is if you're a quarterback, there's no more of that sitting for 3 years and waiting for your 1 year to be the starter. That's been gone since the rule-free transfer was implemented.
And people will say, oh,
transfer.
Arch is an outlier. Arch is an outlier.
Complete outlier. But it's the issue I have with that statement is you could make that exact statement about basically every high school team, every college team, and every NFL team is if your starting quarterback goes down, there's gonna be a drop off in your offensive production. No shit. That drives me a little crazy. I don't mean to sound like that.
And it's not just football. That is a universal rule in all of sports, which is what we were talking about before. If a star shooting guard goes down for your basketball team, you are going to lose significant offensive production. If Scooball for the Tigers goes out with Tommy John, they are going to lose significant wins above replacement. If the Reds lost Ellie De La Cruz, their season is over. That's not a football thing. That is sports. And so I just wanted to hit on that. It makes me frustrated. And so let's look at Florida. And then this will be the last thing I say on it. DJ Lagway has been going through fall camp with a lot of injury concerns. We can even say the same with Garrett Nussmeier. Garrett Nussmeier is at LSU is up in the air. But let's stick with Florida. You know who Florida's backup quarterback is? Harrison Bailey. If they lose DJ Lagway, their quarterback is Harrison Bailey. Guys, I get what you're saying. There is cause for concern with Diego Pavia's play style. 110%. But to act like this is a unique Vanderbilt issue is I think ill-informed, to be quite honest.
Yeah, that's about all on the quarterback position. Moving on to running backs. This is when things finally start to get slightly more interesting in this preview, and it's not just 100% everybody knows what's going on. So I will start each of these position previews, and then I'll do a combined pass catcher preview with production returning. At the running back position, Vanderbilt basically only loses one guy, and that's Monty Jones, who was not a huge contributor last season. Vanderbilt had 238 total carries last season. 220 of those are returning. That's 92.4%. Vanderbilt, even more so, ran the ball for a total of, with running backs, 2,546 yards last season. They returned 2,492 yards. That is almost 98% of their running back production back. 100% of their running back touchdown production is back. On the receiving side of things, 100% of their pass catching out of the backfield is all back. So this running back room has basically every single piece returning. For those people out there, returning is Cedric Alexander, Vanderbilt's leading rusher from last season. Let me pull up his stats. He had 164 carries for 586 yards and 6 touchdowns last season. We all know was dealing with injuries in the last half of the season. AJ Newberry, 41 carries, 185 yards, 3 touchdowns last season. That is 4.5 yards per carry. He is back dealing with a bit of a knee issue after a knee surgery, but he looks back, and according to Clark Lee, should be ready for week 1. Vanderbilt also returns Chase Gillespie, who had 15 carries for 51 yards last season. And one of the most intriguing transfers is MK Young. New Mexico State transfer, last played in 2023, I think had about 28 carries for 191 yards and a couple touchdowns. He is what Vanderbilt hopes is going to turn around this issue of not having explosive playmaking capability out of the running back position. We've all heard it. We all know it. The number one issue with this Vanderbilt offense last season was the longest rush by a running back was 31 yards. That needs to change for Vanderbilt. They need the capability of explosive plays. That doesn't mean they're going to lead the nation or be some high number of explosive plays. They just need that capability to occasionally bust off a 50, 60-yard run from that running back position. It would add a whole new dynamic to this offense. The coaching staff and the rest of the players really view MK Young as that guy. Trevor, I think you're a little bit higher on MK than I am. That doesn't mean I'm negative on MK Young. I'm just not sure he is the answer to the problem. Objectively looking on the outside, the expected answer to that problem is a guy that's never ran for over 200 yards in his entire career in a season. On top of that, MK Young's longest career rush, guess how long it is? 31 yards. So while he does have the capability, quickness, straight line speed, explosive versatility to his game, whatever you want to call it, I'm not 100% sure that Vanderbilt has solved that problem. Now, the running back group is solid. They're good. I think on my premium running back position preview, which I'm going to knock out a bunch of those, hopefully the remainder of this week, I think I gave this group a B-. And that might be a little harsh, but just because I didn't fully see that they did anything to bring them above a B- for me. And that's not a bad grade.
A B- feels fair.
Yeah, that's not a bad grade by any stretch of the imagination, but Yeah, that's where I'm sitting with that running back room. I like what they have. I don't love what they have, if that makes any. I'm not negative. I'm very cautiously optimistic about this backfield taking a step forward if they can remain healthy. That is a huge if, because to me, this running back room has not really proven they can do that. So that's a huge if added to this.
Yeah, like you said, I am a little bit of an MK Young truther myself. One thing I want to bring up, and I do agree with you in terms of the explosive capabilities out of the backfield, you have to have a longer rush than 31 yards. Where I sit is a little bit different. I need Vanderbilt's running backs to average more than 2-3 yards a carry. I think in order for this Vanderbilt offense to take a step forward, I think those numbers need to be bumped up to Vanderbilt is rushing for 4 or 5 yards a carry. If Vanderbilt can consistently run the ball on first down and get 4 or 5 yards a carry, that puts your offense in such an advantageous position. I need to see that step forward as well. I will note in the fall scrimmage, which we are allowed to report the stats that we took down by hand. We tracked everything, so they might be a little bit off. I was pleasantly surprised. Seti as well as MK both rushed for over 5 yards a carry. Granted, those are on limited snaps, but I think MK rushed for a little over 6 yards a carry. Seti rushed for a little over 5 yards a carry. I like those numbers. In terms of what we've seen from fall camp from the running back room, I am not sure I am willing to make a definitive statement on this group in terms of will they be better, will they be the same, or will they be worse? Because with the way that fall camp is constructed, as soon as there is an open hole and somebody taps you on the hip, you're down. And so it's hard for me personally to make an evaluation. So I think they can be better, but I need to see it in real games.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with that statement, and we're going to know more when the season kicks off. This is just our preseason evaluations, but MK Young, I think his best performance for me was during the fall camp scrimmage number one. He had one drive in particular that was just a MK Young drive. That was just they handed it off to him 3 times and they scored a touchdown. He also has capability out of the backfield as a pass catcher. So does Seti. So does AJ Newberry. These are really good pass-catching running backs. So I'm expecting them to be solid, but not blow me out of the water.
I will say one thing I have learned from fall camp is I think Cedric has gotten a lot better. And he was a good pass-catching running back. I think he's actually gotten a lot better as a receiving back.
If Seti can stay healthy,
he's good enough.
He is the bell cow of this backfield.
I agree.
If Seti is healthy, he was the bell cow last year. If he can stay healthy, I think it'll be even more so. But we all know Tim Beck loves his multi-back formations. So you're going to see a lot of MK Young, a lot of Cedric Alexander, a lot of AJ Newberry. Moving on to wide receiver. I will pull up the same returning production. This is wide receivers and tight ends returning production. I did not split those out. Vanderbilt loses Quincy Skinner Jr., Loic Fungi, Darian Wiley, and Cameron Johnson out of that tight end room. Everything else returns. Junior Sherrill, Eli Stowers, Richie Hoskins, Cole Spence, Joseph McVay, Tristan Brown. All those guys return. Total last year, Vanderbilt had 146 receptions. They returned 103. That is 70.5%. They caught a total of 1,941 yards. They returned 1,373 yards. That is 70.7% of returning production. And touchdown-wise, Vanderbilt had 17 receiving touchdowns from wide receivers and tight ends in 2024. They returned 13 of those. That is 76.5% of production. So you could say Vanderbilt returns about 70% of their wide receiver room production, as well as some very interesting pickups in the transfer portal. We will stick to wide receiver for right now and then quickly move to tight end. Vanderbilt brought in a few interesting prospects. Trent Hudson, a transfer from technically Mississippi State, but the last time he saw the field was with Diego Pavia at New Mexico State, had like 50-something catches for 551 yards and 10 touchdowns. Vanderbilt also brought in probably the second most intriguing offensive transfer portal prospect outside of the offensive line. That is Trey Richardson, a transfer from Division II Washburn, 5'10", 175 pounds, had like 954 yards receiving and 10 touchdowns last season at Washburn. He's a lightning quick guy. his speed jumps off the field. He is the fastest player on this offense. 100%.
He's the fastest player we've seen at Vanderbilt in a long time.
Yeah, 100%. And then Vanderbilt also brought in Chance Fitzgerald, a Virginia Tech transfer that didn't really see the field at Virginia Tech. To be honest, I've not been impressed with Chance Fitzgerald throughout fall camp whatsoever. I was expecting him to be a Loic Fungi replacement. And that doesn't mean that Loic Fungi was an incredible amount of production, but he did have a few more key catches than we tend to remember.
He had some clutch catches.
Yeah, he had some big. He would randomly pop in for one or two, like one key catch a game.
They kind of save a drive.
Yeah, and so that's a little bit of a loss that nobody's talking about. Quincy Skinner Jr., we all know what kind of loss that is. He was a great blocker on the outside, made some huge touchdown catches against Virginia Tech and in the Birmingham Bowl against Georgia Tech. But a guy that has had probably the best fall camp out of any of these guys is Richie Hoskins. To me, he has been outstanding throughout fall camp.
I was going to say Junior Sherrill.
Okay. Well, Junior Sherrill is the wide receiver 1. He has shown me everything I need to see from wide receiver 1. Richie, as far as like consistent practice performance.
Oh, I would agree then. Yeah, I would agree. I think Richie Hoskins especially has really come on strong yesterday. In terms of Junior Sherrill, though, what we've seen from him in fall camp thus far, I do not, guys, believe me when I say this. And you guys know me. You guys know how I am. Believe me when I say this. I am not trying to get too terribly hype. I have been pleasantly surprised with the wide receiver room. What I have seen out of the wide receivers thus far in camp has intrigued me. I'll just say that. Are they going to take a huge step forward? I don't know. All I'll say is they are better than I expected. But it's just fall camp. Wait till real games. In fall camp, I'm impressed.
Yeah, that's been one of the main things. Most of my opinions about position groups as a whole have remained very steady through fall camp, just knowing the roster, knowing the guys they brought in. A lot of things have basically been exactly what I've expected. The backup quarterback situation, worse, slightly worse than I expected it to be. The wide receiver room, slightly better than I expected them to look. Actually, quite a bit better than I was very low.
And that's coming from Wet Blanket Will. So if Wet Blanket Will
now it's just fall camp.
Yes,
how much
just
of this,
fall camp?
As a reminder, Vanderbilt had the worst pass defense, as I talked about multiple times last episode, in the country last year. So how much of this is the secondary not being good versus the wide receivers being actually good? I think it's a combo of both, but the wide receivers have impressed me thus far through fall camp. Specifically, Junior Sherrill looks like he's gotten better and developed. We haven't seen a ton out of Trent Hudson. Clark Lee talked about him having a soft tissue injury. They're just being very cautious with him. I kind of expect him to be that wide receiver 2 in this offense. Richie Hoskins, we know what Richie is. Great blocker on the outside, but he's damn good at getting open. Seems to have a really good chemistry with the quarterbacks.
Richie's been cooking. White boy Richie's been cooking.
Tristan Brown has also looked really good to me. Tristan Brown, I've been high on him going into camp. It's why so maybe I'm a little skewed. I thought he's looked really good so far. He performed well in the scrimmage. I think 5 catches for 65 yards.
He had a great scrimmage.
Yeah, Richie had 6 catches for 113 yards and a touchdown. Tristan Brown had 5 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown during the scrimmage. So those two guys I've been very impressed with through camp. Joseph McVay, we haven't seen a ton out of. But he's a guy that I also expect to partially contribute possibly in the future. But I would say the number one standout to me has been Richie / Trey Richardson / Junior Sherrill. And the disappointment has really been Chance Fitzgerald for me with the guys coming in. That's all I've really learned from fall camp about the wide receiver room.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's pretty spot on.
Moving on to tight ends. I already went through returning production of pass catchers. Basically everything is the same outside of one huge 6-yard touchdown catch out of Cam Johnson.
The biggest touchdown in Vanderbilt football history, some are saying.
Permanent legend, Cam Johnson. Shout out to him. Wish him the best of luck in his
Johnson
future career.
will always be a door in my heart.
Yep.
Always a door in my heart.
But returning, Vanderbilt has its best draft prospect, best player. No slight to Diego Pavia. Eli Stowers is the best player on this team. Diego Pavia dominates headlines. Eli Stowers is the best player on this team. First team preseason All-American, according to ESPN. The watch list awards just keep rolling in for him. Eli Stowers is the man. Anybody that watched last season, he is a early round draft pick in the NFL. Vanderbilt also returns Cole Spence, who is a damn good tight end. And the fact he's a tight end number 2 is crazy.
We were talking about this beforehand, and I'll stand on this. Cole Spence would start for a lot of SEC teams at tight end.
He is a great blocker and a solid pass catcher.
I stand by that. He would start for a lot of SEC teams.
And a guy that is very forgotten. He's had injury issues his whole career. Bryson Coleman, kind of that flex wide receiver tight end. We'll see. I'm fully in we will see mode.
He intrigues me.
He intrigues
me.
I just don't know if he's going to be able to stay healthy and be on the field. But he intrigues the hell out of me. He could be a key component to this offense if he can actually stay healthy. Last year, he had the broken collarbone. We'll see. We will see with Bryson Coleman, but I'm very excited. I could see him filling that role that we almost expected Cam Johnson to last year. Actually put up some numbers out of that and have specific formations when he comes
if he's healthy, maybe more.
If he's healthy. But the tight end room is it's an A+. Like that is the strongest position group on this team.
The tight end room is, and this is people, Trevor, you're biased. You can suck it. This is the best tight end room in America. This is legitimately the best tight end room in America.
I mean, I don't even think that's biased. I mean, universally almost, or by a lot of members of the media, Eli Stowers is viewed as the best tight end in the country. So that's not gold colored glasses or anything. That's just facts. There's a reason he was an ESPN preseason first team All-American. And then you throw in a guy like Cole Spence, who is a very damn good tight end. That's your backup tight end. And I know Tim Beck utilizes a lot of multi-tight end sets, so he's a backup.
Ton of 12 personnel, yeah. Hack squat Jim Glazer is my new nickname.
And then you throw in Bryson Coleman, who's that kind of explosive guy. And then a DB, who's a really good blocker out of that tight end.
I saw some playing time last year.
Yeah, so he's a guy that you're going to see in there as well. A really good tight end.
Hey, shout out to my boy PWO, Larry Benton III, my dog.
He had a couple catches during that scrimmage. But
I like Larry Benton III.
We are going to have – there's not much more to say about the tight end room. We're going to have a lot longer discussion about the offensive line. So we're going to go ahead and jump to that. Chris Klinakis returning for year 2. Worked his magic last year with his strong guard, quick guard, strong tackle, quick tackle. This is...
I'm so sorry. We didn't even talk about Whit Edwards for tight end.
Oh, Whit Edwards, yes. We'll see. I think he'll be very good in the future. Really needs to put on weight.
Yes, I agree.
I don't know if he'll see the field this year, but in the future, I'm excited about Whit Edwards. He's a very good pass-catching tight end. He is too skinny to be playing tight end in the SEC right now. But I think he can put on weight, but he's too skinny right now. Let's get to the offensive line here. Out for the offensive line. I have a lot of names to read. Out. And I might have missed a couple that were guys that didn't really participate that much or see the field very much. But out is Stephen Hubbard, the heart and soul of the offensive line. Big Glow.
Big Glow.
We love Big Glow.
Forever in my heart, Big Glow.
Stephen Lasoya started a lot of games at center last year, then moved to guard late in the season. Gage Pitchford is gone. Gunnar Hansen is gone to Florida State. Xavier Castillo is gone. Grayson Morgan is gone. Josh Raymond is gone. Now, Vanderbilt did not sit on their ass in the transfer portal. They brought in a lot of talented new faces. They brought in probably, it's hard to differentiate between these two, but probably the most sure thing offensive lineman that they brought in is Jordan White from Liberty. Absolute stud. He is going to be playing center, Remington Award watch list. He is a stud. He is going to be good. Stephen Lasoya was damn good last year. Jordan White's an upgrade, just to put it frankly.
Jordan White is fun to watch work.
Now, the reason I paused on him being the most exciting offensive lineman transfer, Vanderbilt brought in a mountain of a man. The mountain from Game of Thrones gets scared when he sees this guy walk in the room. Bryce Henderson.
We interviewed him today. He is so big.
He is the biggest player on this team. He is bigger than Wataha. He is the biggest player on this roster. He is a unit of all units, and not in a fat way at all. Not at all. He is 6'8", 325 pounds. He was interviewed directly after Chris Klinakis. I had to adjust the tripod to fit him into the frame. He is enormous.
Also, shout out to Bryce Henderson. Great interview.
Great interview.
I think he said that was his first interview ever. I don't know, but he was awesome.
dude.
He was awesome. He was electric.
Great personality. I have full faith in Bryce Henderson locking up that tackle position. Vanderbilt also brought in Gunnar Givens from Virginia. Not Virginia Tech, right? It was Virginia.
It was Virginia Tech.
It was Virginia Tech?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just keep thinking I'm saying too many Virginia Tech names.
No, we don't have any players from Virginia.
Okay. Orion Irving from Sam Houston State, to be honest, has been a little disappointing in fall camp to me.
I'll agree with that.
Isaiah Glass from Oklahoma State should theoretically be a starting offensive lineman.
There's no theoretically.
yeah.
He's going to be your starter.
Yep. Really solid. He's looked really solid.
The
in fall
tackles
camp.
for this team are improved, and I don't want to jump ahead. The tackles are very much improved.
And then Sterling Porsche from Texas Tech. We'll see. We will see. I think he'll be a rotational offensive lineman, if I had to guess, but we'll see.
I don't think he's going to be rotational. I think Cade McConnell is going to be your quick guard.
Now let's get to the returning talent. Chase Mitchell returning back at his natural position. Coach Chris Klanakis talked about that today. Moved back inside to guard where he belongs. He just had the skill set to be a stopgap last season to tackle and did a decent job. He struggled, but that's not his natural position. I forgot to mention Clinton Azubike from Northern Arizona is also in for the transfer portal. I don't really expect him to see the field. Vanderbilt also returns Kevo Wesley. Clark Lee updated on his injury status. He might be out for an extended period of time. That's kind of a little bit of a loss on this offensive line. Cooper Starks returns. Caden McConnell returns, who we're expecting to likely be a starter at that guard position. Charlie Clark returns, your boy.
My boy Chuck. Shout out my boy Chuck.
Misael Sandoval and David Siegel all return. Cooper Starks, I already said him. David
Also
Siegel
a great
returns.
interview. Shout out Cooper Starks.
Yeah,
Great
that was
interview.
a really good interview. So a lot of new faces, a decent amount of returning faces, but those new faces, while it's always a little bit up in the air, because Vanderbilt, like I stated, Vanderbilt had a pretty solid offensive line last year, and you don't want to dismiss that. They weren't elite, they weren't incredible, but I wrote in the article I wrote about Chris Klanakis today saying Vanderbilt's traditionally always struggled on the offensive line front, and Vanderbilt did not really struggle last year, and they usually get pushed around. And in fact, this year they did not get pushed around, and in fact did some pushing around during the 2024 season. I expect this offensive line, to be honest, there are some hesitations with so many new faces, so many transfers. I expect this offensive line to be just as good, if not better, than last season's offensive line. That's my expectation.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. Sunshine Pumper. It's that time of year. I love me the Doors. I do expect this offensive line to be better. I think particularly the strong side of the offensive line with Henderson and Mitchell is, as somebody who loves offensive line play and trench play in general, that has been an absolute pleasure to watch those two go to work together. That strong side is really, really good. I think, too, just at the tackle position, just at strong tackle and quick tackle with Henderson and Glass, I think that is an upgrade that Vanderbilt fans will notice immediately in terms of the level of quality that they have at the tackle position. I think that's big time. You get the upgrade at center. I think basically going from center, strong side over that entire right side, I think is an upgrade. I like what I've seen from Cade McConnell. I'm a big Cade McConnell guy, quick guard. I think he's shown a really, really, really good stuff during this fall camp.
Yeah, I mean, generally, I've really liked what I've seen out of the offensive line. Now, you never know because they're facing intra-squad, so you never 100% know. But
Yes.
But I'm positive about this offensive line overall. I would honestly give this offensive line a B- or B. And as far as if you skew it for Vanderbilt offensive line, that's closer to a B+. With what I've seen now, it's just too many faces that are new that I have not seen play on Saturday together for me to upgrade any higher than that. So I'm going to stick with about a B- to B. But I think this offensive line has a very high ceiling on them and a very, very high floor as well. This offensive line is not going to be garbage. I would be thoroughly shocked if they come out and just can't protect the quarterback, can't open up any running lanes. I would be very surprised.
I think, too, another interesting tidbit in terms of combined snaps, this Vanderbilt offensive line is number one in the nation. Most experienced offensive line in the nation in terms of snaps. So I think that plays huge for Vanderbilt. I do agree. New faces, a lot of them learning a new scheme. Very interesting. I will say I'll stand on this, and I don't think this is a hot take whatsoever. I think this is the best offensive line Clark Lee's had since he's been here.
I think so too.
But also it's like we said, like the bar's been kind of low.
Pretty low.
The bar's been kinda low.
But just a stat that I think gets pushed a little too much because obviously these guys are being graded against non-SEC competition. But Vanderbilt has the number 1 PFF graded interior offensive line. What does that say?
Oh, I just gotta go get my phone charger.
Okay. Trevor's got to run to grab his phone charger. We're going to be hitting the TDR cocktail break here in a second, so I will close out the offensive preview, and then we will go to the TDR cocktail break and then premium message board questions after that. But what I was saying, Jordan White is the highest graded interior offensive lineman returning to the SEC. Now, he did play at Liberty last year, but offensive line grading is offensive line grading, and he performed fantastically well. Vanderbilt also has the highest returning offensive tackle in the entire SEC, and that is Bryce Henderson. Granted, that is at South Dakota, an FCS program, but that is a damn good FCS program. South Dakota, like South Dakota State or North Dakota State, those are elite level FCS programs. So I'm expecting this offensive line to take a step forward. I don't know how big of a step forward, but honestly, if they just perform just as well as last season's offensive line did, I'm not going to be disappointed in any capacity, but I think they have the potential to be even better. So that is it for the offensive preview as Trevor plugs in his laptop. Everybody out there, grab yourself a delicious ice cold beverage, and we'll be right back after the TDR cocktail break. Welcome back from the TDR cocktail break, and welcome back into episode 328. It is now segment 2, and all we have left in segment 2 is we're going to answer premium member message board questions. Subscribe today to thedoopreport.com. I want to reemphasize this. You can subscribe today to an annual membership for $1 for your first 7 days. You also will get an Athletic, a year of a membership to the Athletic. So subscribe today, and you can also hear your questions read on the Behind Closed Doors message board on TDR. Getting to the first question from World's Strongest Vandy fan says, I feel like one thing that isn't being talked about enough is the OL depth, specifically Orion Irving. Last year, we didn't have a backup tackle. In the moment, it was McConnell. With preparation, it was Big Glow. And once things got past McConnell and Kivo, it was a mess. This year, we head into the season with a surefire backup at both. Can't read this. T-spots Irving, a surefire backup at guard spots Kivo, and true backup center McConnell, and good depth pieces who won't be asked to be more than what they are. Clark, Sandoval, Givens. Don't know if any of the last 3 will be any more than a 2, but it's nice to have 8+ good players in the OL for the first time in who knows how long. I agree with the depth. Now, the specific players that were named, they're good depth pieces. I don't want to be too sunshine pumper and tell you that there's not a significant drop off in those guys. There is. They have more depth than people that are capable of playing that position, but there is drop off. Like it's still not extreme high quality SEC depth in my opinion. Their front maybe best 6 are, but outside of that, there is a drop. I don't want to be too overly positive, even though we are very positive about this offensive line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. I think, too, in terms of depth, I think the team and the coaching staff did a really good job at addressing depth because, like he said, last year, it was kind of a mess and having to not even plug and play guys, like taking tackles and putting them at guard and taking guard and putting them at center and taking centers and putting them all over the place. You don't have that issue this year.
Yeah. Our next question is a baseball question. I'm going to be honest. We're not answering baseball questions on the offensive preview episode. We're also so far away from baseball. If you have a basketball question, we might have answered that. I'm not fucking talking about baseball. Go ask the Tennessean if you want to talk about baseball. He did add PS in the event. I must have a football question. What did the refs use the little beanbag for thing that they have on their belt? Play cornhole at halftime? That's to mark.
That's to spot the ball.
That's to spot the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then they use their hats still for some reason to mark players going out of bounds, which I feel like they could have found something besides the hat. But, traditions are traditions, I guess.
Well, and also, too, if there's multiple flags on the play, they've already used
Yep.
their flag, they'll throw their cap up as another flag.
I don't know. Something about that I do love. So I hope that never changes.
It's like the chain gang.
Yeah.
Like, don't get the NFL.
I
Don't
will
get rid
say,
of the chain gang.
Finally, the NFL has implemented the digital checking within
Yes.
within
Yes,
a
yes, yes,
pixel.
yes.
That has been overdue for years.
Yeah.
The fact baseball can track their balls and strikes how they do,
Mm-hmm.
but the NFL can't figure out how to properly spot the ball. with
Tennis
a little
can
chip.
do it.
It's yes.
Tennis
The
can do it.
technology has been there for years.
Yeah.
How is the NFL so behind on this? Whatever. I'm very happy they're doing that. I hope at some point, even though it's a little less feasible, I hope at least in P4 conferences that's implemented in some capacity in the future in football.
I do just love the chain gang, though. Just some
beautiful.
just some old ass men
And
just spending their Saturday night carrying the chains to mark.
and then having to
mark the
wait
ball.
on them to get set sometimes when it takes them too long to get going. Phoebe,
Oh,
you're gonna have
dude.
to move, buddy.
Football is such a beautiful sport whenever you think about it.
This is actually a really good question. HM 1030 says rank each starting group relative to where they stand in the SEC, and then lists out the position groups. So that could be an entire episode. So we're not going to actually give like a number like they rank 7th in the conference between Oklahoma and Florida in this category, but we can give like an above average, an average, below average kind of thing.
Yeah.
So starting out with QB,
Above average.
above average. I think probably it's almost undeniable top 5 in the conference in quarterback, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe gold colored glasses. I don't give a shit.
I don't think that's gold colored
Yeah.
glasses at all.
Running backs. This is an interesting question. I say slightly below average. There's going to be different variations of below average. I'm going ever so slightly, but I would almost very much lean towards average in the SEC.
I would give them, I'll go slightly below average as well. If you wanted a numeric value, I'd probably go 11 out of 16.
Yeah, and then next up is wide receiver, below average.
Below average.
Yeah, it just is. It doesn't mean they're going to suck and they're terrible, but you have one true wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 really in that room is Junior Sherrill. Richie's great. We love Richie. He's a good possession receiver, great blocker. I mean, that being clearly to me your second best receiver with what I've seen in fall camp leaves a little to be desired in some capacities, just explosive playmaking capability. But the wide receiver room's not bad. And if there's one position group that can be below average and this offense still be successful, it's the wide receiver room. Tight end, best in the conference.
Above average. Yep.
Best
number
in the
1.
conference.
That's easy to rank. They're number 1.
Yep. Offensive line. It's a tough one. I'm going to say
Average.
average. I would say maybe the slightest bit below average. Like I'm talking maybe 9-10, but leaning towards average with a high ceiling and a relatively high floor.
Once again, the dichotomy of TDR strikes. I was going to go above, or I was going to go average with the possibility if they could reach above average.
I think they can reach above average. I just really have to see it.
You have to see it in game. I agree.
am
I agree.
so concerned, even regardless of talent and what I've seen in fall camp, when you have 4 new contributors on the offensive line. That's a lot of new contributors.
Yeah, I agree.
Defensive tackle. Below average. Not that they're terrible, but just if they had Demarion Thomas returning instead of transferring to Texas Tech, I would have said average to above average, but they don't. They have Wataha and Seabrooks and Aaron Bryan and Mason Nelson, which I would say is slightly below average. Defensive end / edge. This is an interesting one. Average to slightly below.
Yeah, that's what I would go.
I have not been impressed with Keanu Coates so far in fall camp at all. Corday Sidnor has impressed the hell out of me. So they kind of balance each other out, I guess, in that aspect. Miles Capers, we'll see if he can stay on the field.
When he's been on the field,
he's been good. Yeah, so I'm going to say slightly below average. Just linebackers.
Above average,
I believe as well. A lot of depth. We ran through that last episode. Above average. Cornerbacks, below average.
I'll go average maybe towing the water with below average.
Yeah, I'm going below average. It's truly one of those things. I like what they have in Martel Height. I like the prospect of what Marlon Jones brings. I like the prospect of what Jordan Matthews brings. I like the prospect of what a head on his shoulders straight Colby Taylor brings. I like what Jalen Lackey brings, returning with more experience. I just got to see it.
Just got to see it.
I,
Yep.
I can't even call this room average until after what I saw last year. I mean, it was atrocious.
Mhm.
And a lot of that was injuries. But when you rank 134th out of 134 teams in pass completion percentage as a defense, I can't say
I'm with
anything
you
but
there.
below average. And they haven't like brought in some crazy 5-star guy or some insane transfer portal guy that you're like, he's going to be a stud. So I'm going to have to go below average.
Mhm.
Safeties. Another
Average.
interesting- Average for me. I think the safety room to me has the highest variation of what they could be.
What are we including Rand in that star position in?
I would-
Safeties or backers?
I would put him more. It's a tough one. He's a tweener. I would say backer is where. But
if we
it's
put
such
him,
an
if
in-between.
we put him at safety, I'm going to go above average.
Yeah, I just gotta. It's one of those things. You lost your two main guys from last season. CJ Hurd. I'm very high on CJ Hurd. Very high on CJ Hurd. Higher than you are.
Yeah.
Dante Carter. I've got to see it.
I'm very high on Dante
I'm
Carter.
I really like Dante Carter. He's a little light in the britches for me, to use an old man term, but I really like him. Marlon Sewell, you know what you got in Marlon Sewell. So
Carson Lawrence is going to be a star.
Carson Lawrence is going to be a star.
So
They have-
on the depth chart, they have the star position as safety. So they have Randon listed at safety, but they have the star position. So Van Hinton, they have him at star specifically. Tate Hamby at star specifically. So we'll go ahead and lump Randon in for the safety room. If we're lumping Randon into the safety room, I think it's an above average room.
If you lump Randon in, who I believe Randon is the best player on this defense, individually talented. If you lump them in, then I'm going to go average leaning above average. But when you lose a 4-year starter like CJ Taylor, I don't want to just glaze over that loss. Like I feel I have too many times. That's a big loss.
Huge
That's a
loss.
leader on the field.
I mean, that's an all-time like Vandy Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be talking about CJ Taylor in 15 years. The
We're
fact
gonna-
he's
yeah.
stuck with this program during the time he's stuck with this program and got rewarded with a fully successful season his senior year is a major key contributor as a 4-year starter. So I can't fully place it. I really want to, but I'm going to say if you include Randon in that, average to above average. So there's a good mix there, I would say. I would say we weren't too biased in any direction there. We had quite a few below averages in there, and we had quite a few averages and quite a few above averages.
Yeah,
So it
and
was a good
I
mix.
think we disagreed, not extremely, but like you would be like below average, and I'm like, I think they're a little bit better, but I think they could touch and so I think there was a good variance in there as well. It's also too, like you said, in terms of the returning production on both sides of the ball, it is, how should I say this? It's not what this team's gonna be, but like you have a good idea. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, way
You have
different than
you have
last year.
Last
So
year,
different.
No idea. This year, you have a better cardinal direction of where this team is going to head.
Yep, exactly. And now moving on to maybe a slightly less intense question. As there was some back and forth about the baseball question where people were like, stop talking about the Cape. Kodak Black and Gold asks, new member. Shout out to you, Kodak Black and Gold. Appreciate having you.
Great name.
Asks Trev, how many guys on the roster do you think you can out squat? Scholarship players only.
Ooh, I love this question. So for reference, I have a 455. No. 400. I think 425. I forget. I'm going to have to look.
We'll say 450. And keep in mind, when Trevor is squatting, he is power lift squatting, which is a different level.
I'm ass to grass.
It is a different level of depth than, for good reason, than they go in football.
Yeah, I'm ass to grass. Marlon Jones, I squat more. Junior Sherrill, I squat more. Dante Carter, I squat more. Trent Hudson, I squat more. I'll give you the guys that squat more than me, actually, because I think this is no disrespect to these guys.
Running back room.
Seti.
I think Seti outsquats you,
He's
brother.
got some big
Seti outsquats
legs
you.
on him.
Also, Newberry's probably limited because of the knee thing, but he also has some thick legs on him too.
Nah, that I'm out squatting AJ. I think Seti might give me a
If you're
run for my
listening to
money.
this Vanderbilt coaching staff, we would do anything to have a video or have some type of thing. We will sign whatever waivers.
We'll sign whatever waiver you need.
waivers you want that are basically like if Trevor dies, Trevor cannot sue.
There's nothing. My family will not come after you.
But
Like
that's
if
how
I
he would
died,
want to die.
if I died, my mom and dad would be like, "Damn, he went out doing what he loved."
Lifting inside the Vanderbilt weight room,
With the
comparing
boys.
his squat to the boys.
With the boys.
Vanderbilt football. If you have any interest, let us know.
Bryce Cowan can probably squat more. Prince Collie, all the offensive line, can
O-line,
squat more. O-line,
D-line.
D-line can squat more than me. I'm squatting more than every wide receiver. I'm squatting more than everybody in the secondary. Linebackers is where it gets interesting. Brian Longwell.
Dude, with how he looks.
Brian Longwell is going to squat more than me. Langston. I think I got Langston beat. I'm not
I
going to
think y'all
lie.
are very close.
I think I might have Langston beat. Nick Rinaldi.
Very close as well.
I think I can out squat Nick
We don't have
Rinaldi.
their numbers, but we're just guesstimating here.
Backers is where it's most. Diego Pavia, I can out squat Diego Pavia. Every quarterback I can out squat them.
Diego might take offense to that.
All
That
right.
might get us in the locker room.
All right, Diego.
That might get us in the weight room.
Diego, if you want to run it, dude, I'll out squat you any day of the week.
I swear to God, if one of the players got hurt trying to have a squat competition against you, they have their maxes, so they wouldn't even have to squat.
They wouldn't. No, they wouldn't have to squat. No. I
No.
wouldn't even ask them to squat, but I would squat. Jamison Curtis, I think I can out squat him. Yeah, I think those guys.
I would say it's very position group oriented.
I
for
think
Trevor.
everybody on the offensive and defensive line could out squat me. I think I could out squat every wide receiver and every secondary member. Eli Stowers, 6'4", 235. I think I could out squat Eli. I think I could
They're
out squat
also-
Eli.
Those guys,
He's got
including,
long legs,
including
though. His
Cole
body's not
Spence,
built to squat.
including Cole Spence. It's hard for me. Like Cole Spence is a unit, but he also is a lot of height and a lot of legs.
6'7", yeah, that's long.
That's a
that's
tough squat.
That body's not built to squat. I do 6'7", 255. I think Cole could probably out squat me. Yeah.
That's a good run through. But yeah, very position group oriented. But Vanderbilt football, reach out to us. I think the people would enjoy seeing hack squat squatted up.
If
inside the
Langston
Vanderbilt weight room.
Patterson thinks he can out squat me, then you know where to find me.
People are
Nick Lazinski, let's make that happen, coach. Let's make that happen.
people are still arguing about this baseball question. Some people are not happy there was a baseball question asked in here. There's a lot of asterisks. We're at auto.
A lot of cursing.
A lot of cursing.
We love all of our posters.
Go Doors 24, another new member. Shout out to Go
Shout
Doors
out to
24.
you, Go
We love
Doors
seeing the
24.
new member underneath. He goes on to say, "It's time I admit I'm dating a Tennessee fan." Been there, brother.
Whoa!
Been there many
I'm
times in my
so
life.
thankful that my girlfriend is a diehard Vanderbilt fan. Very thankful.
Lady I'm seeing has less than zero interest in sports, so that's fine.
Will came down here the other day while she was over, and we had just gotten done watching the Zaylen Wood post-practice interview together.
Yeah, from my perspective,
It was awesome.
I'd never met her before until then.
Awesome.
The funnier part of that story from my perspective is it was like, I don't know, 9:30 or 10, and I was just fully going downstairs to get myself a little snacky snack, a little leftover pizza, and walked, and I was rounding the stairs about to come down just in underwear. And then I heard the faintest female voice and did a quick 180 U-turn, went upstairs, tossed on some shorts and a shirt. It was like, that would have been a tough introduction to my old man boxers.
You would have just walked down to us watching the Zaylen Wood interview, dude.
But he goes on to say, little me would be disappointed in my actions, and I hope he forgives me one day. But gosh, I hate that ugly orange and everything associated with it, besides her. I've already begun to convert her. She watched every Vanderbilt basketball game with me last year and every football game this year, missing Tennessee games to do so. And even during the football game against Tennessee, she slipped up and cheered on the opening kickoff return touchdown. The journey has been hard, but I'm starting to see light at the end of the tunnel. F the Vols and anchor down. All this to ask if either of you ever dated or converted a past Tennessee fan. Yes.
Dude, I'll start out with saying, man, shout out to Go Doors 24, flirt and convert, bringing over a Vol fan to the Vandy fandom, not for the faint of heart. God gives his toughest Tennessee Vol girlfriends to his strongest Vanderbilt Commodore soldiers. Kudos to you, man. Thank you for carrying on the fight. To answer the question, no, I have never dated a Tennessee Vol fan.
Dude, flirt and convert is
Flirt and
incredible.
convert. Have you never heard that?
No.
Dude, growing up in church, it'd be like the dude who like wanted the really it was more the girls wanting like the secular dudes. Be like, oh, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna invite him to church in my Bible study and like bring him and like hopefully like change him. And we called that flirt and convert. Flirt and convert.
That's incredible. We're sending a battle cry to our 95% male, or it's 90.
Yes.
It's actually 93% now. Our male listener base, flirt and convert.
Flirt
Baby.
and convert.
We're sending you out on your own mission in the Mormon capacity. Door to door, flirt and convert.
This is the Great Commission. We are sending our disciples to East Tennessee. Go and spread the good news.
Spread the good news. Yes, I've dated multiple Tennessee fans in my life.
How's that been?
Never great. It's obviously none of them have worked out, probably for other reasons than that. But yeah, that probably did drive a wedge during the fall because like I'm not fucking going to a Tennessee game. I'm not. I'm not and I'm gonna hate watch. It doesn't matter if I'm in a room full of 20 Tennessee fans. I'm hate watching.
Yeah,
I'm cheering for the other team aggressively to the point that their friends and family probably didn't like me. It's nothing I can do about changing myself. I am who I am. Kodak Black and Gold responded to that, said, tried once and failed. I tried to use the Juwan Jennings head stop video to convert her over. Glad that battle is done. LOL. Dude, what an electric
Dude, I love our posters, dude. The TDR universe
dude, we have
undefeated.
A lot of new members here. I love
this. Is awesome, dude. Imagine just your Vol girlfriend is just screaming at you and you're pissed off and you just like stop yelling at me. And in order to get her to stop, you're like, hey, look at this. And she's like, I don't see him doing anything wrong. I would be like, I'm going home.
Next question from another new member. I think he asked a question last week. Love seeing it. Georgia Door says, Trevor already answered this first part in another thread, but who do y'all think the QB2 is going to be? And do you think Vanderbilt starting quarterback for 2026 is currently on the roster? Number one, I think QB2 is Blaise Berlowitz.
Agreed.
Like not really that close to me. He has problems with turnovers. I think he's a guy that if he came in as the backup quarterback could quickly be pulled for a guy like Drew Dickey. Who's going to take care of the ball maybe a little more, not really with what we've seen at fall camp, but theoretically. But Blaise, to me, is number two.
Blaise is also very athletic.
Yes, very athletic. He can run the offense in a different way than Dickey can.
I think his skill set lends itself more to the way this offense is ran. Like, I think if he could get the turnovers under control, I think Blaise would be a very serviceable quarterback.
He then goes, the second part of that question was, do you think Vanderbilt's starting quarterback for 2026 is currently on the roster?
No,
I do not. I think whoever they bring in, there will be a real battle between Blaise Berlowitz and him.
You want my theory? And we've actually, I mean, you know my theory. I'll tell the listeners my theory. This is my theory. I think Vanderbilt will go after a transfer quarterback this offseason. They will be a stopgap. I think Jack Elliott is the future of Vanderbilt football. And I think this staff thinks he's the future of Vanderbilt football.
It's just too early to tell for me.
That's my hot take. I think
he fits.
I think you get a stopgap, and I think you hand it over to Jake Elliott.
He fits well. He fits well into this offensive scheme. He's basically a slightly taller Pavia 2.0. I just got to see more. It's hard for me to say that definitively right now. I like what I've seen, but got to see more as far as passing is concerned. He's got the legs. He's got the running ability to run this offense.
Yeah.
And then this is another question about backup quarterback from Out of Bridge. Says, all the reports seem to be that if Pavia misses any time at all, we are in ginormous trouble. How can this team have 35 QBs on the roster and not have a decent backup? We already kind of answered that.
Well, you want to say, too, 35 quarterbacks on the roster and not have a backup. My brother in Christ, go look at Auburn football. You think this is bad? Go look at Auburn's quarterback situation.
Dude, yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Go look at Auburn's quarterback room.
I mean, like what we said in the first part, I don't need to repeat this or we don't need to go into detail, but it's like any of these teams outside of maybe the exception of like 2 to 3 teams in the country, if their starting quarterback goes down, they're screwed. They're in ginormous trouble. So that's not a Vanderbilt problem. That's a football problem. Hell, you can go to the NFL. You can go to high school. That's a football problem. It's a unique position that requires a lot. And usually you only have one guy that can do it to the highest level. Yet another door lawyer, not a new member, says odds that when we beat Tennessee in First Bank East in November, Pavia plants a flag at midfield and an all-out brawl ensues. If Vanderbilt beats Tennessee, there is no doubt in my mind Pavia is going to start some type of issue after the game.
And it's going to be
deservedly
so electric.
Yeah,
it's going to be so electric. I'll be at that game. Hell, if that happens, I might jump the fence and join them on the field.
Okay, next question from Tyler CTD says, what are your tailgating favorites? Food, drink, and activity. He goes on to say, here are mine. Number 1, buffalo chicken dip. Great one. We haven't pulled that one out of the cards. We might have to make some buffalo chicken
I think we had it a couple times last year.
Yeah. Number 2, Jaeger shot and an ice cold Busch. Although I was heavy on the Conquer and Prevail ales last season. So we are going to say Outlaw Beer. They're going to be providing beer for us again on the tailgate. But number 3 says usually by the TV watching the day's games. But if it is an 11 a.m. kick, I love being the breakfast captain on the Blackstone. We have Chef Miller, so we don't have to worry about that because he's a dog. Dog on the ground. I'll say my number 1 food's a Miller burger.
My number 1 food is a Miller dog.
Miller dog.
I'll go a Miller dog for my beverage. Let's say we've already blasted through the Outlaw Beer because the Outlaw Beer at the Lot 2 tailgate is, if it's a 6 o'clock kickoff, that is gone by 10 o'clock. I'll go a Diet Coke and a Coors. For my activity, I like sitting down and watching College Game Day. I also enjoy breaking the seal and making the trek across the parking lot and walking 3 miles to go take a piss. That's always very fun.
I love that activity because after I've drank 8 beers before 10 a.m., I have to pee like 9 times and I get my steps in for the 3-mile fucking hike to the porta potties, which are not located anywhere near the tailgates. Brilliant.
We just got to start pissing in the grass, dude.
I'm about to. My number 1 food, Miller burger / Miller dog, like I already said. Number 2, the drink after we've powered through the Outlaws. So I've been really heavy on this brew that I'm going to bring. The Blue Moon Sky. The light Blue Moon. 95 calories with that nice tangerine flavor in it. I'm really liking those. Other than that, I'm a whiskey Diet Coke, man. That's like my go-to drink. But if it's hot, vodka Sprite with a little lime if it's really hot outside.
Refreshing.
And then activity, if it's an 11 a.m. kick, I like some good cornhole, like some beer pong. But in reality, if there's football going on, I'm watching football. Like I'm sitting in a chair and I'll talk to people. I love a good keg stand too on the occasion that we do have a keg. So moving on to the next.
We need to go take Jaeger shots over, and I think he's in lot 4 with Tyler.
So in college, we had a bar.
You got to take one.
We had dollar Jaeger shots on Thursdays, and I way overdid the Jaeger shots in college. I will take them. People have them, but man, I overdid it. Excuse me.
Bless you.
That was a nice burp.
The Zen getting to you.
Okay, I'm just reading this to make sure it's okay. From GBarks24 says, it's always been my understanding that 2 things need to happen for a team to maximize its potential. 1, your best player needs to be coachable. 2, your best player needs to be a hardworking player, the hardest working player on the team. Both of those things continue to be true with Pavia. So why the complaining from people that he's confident in talking smack? He's not missing meetings, class, and as hungry as ever. I haven't heard a lot of Vandy fans. There's been the occasional one, but I haven't heard, I feel like Vandy fans have really rallied around him.
I agree.
In a way that I really
agree.
like.
I agree.
Most of it is from opposing fan bases, which, you know, if they're talking shit about you, they're talking about you. And that's something that Vanderbilt has wanted for years. They're being shit talked like an SEC team.
I love it, dude. Shout out to Magoogs on Twitter as well as on the board. He asked me on the board on our Monday night chit chat. He asked, are you basking in the glory of Tennessee fans like constantly coming at you? And I responded and I said, I think the realization that Vanderbilt is going to be good and Tennessee is going to be worse than they thought they were has finally hit them and they're freaking out.
Yeah. But yeah, I think most Vandy fans have rallied around. If you are one of these small percentage of Vandy fans that's not, it's like you've been craving this, and Vanderbilt fans have been wanting a guy with the, and excuse my French here, with that true not a fake one, the true fuck you mentality. He's like, I don't care how much people clown me. I don't care that I go on Feinbaum and he takes shots at me. I don't give a shit. I am here, and I'm here to say what my expectations are. That's what Vanderbilt has needed for so many years, and they finally have it. I'm not saying my season prediction is going to be that, okay? That's not what I'm saying at all. But if just from a pure – don't look at the camera like that. Just from a
Speak for yourself.
Fan perspective, if you're not just all in on Diego Pavia, then what are you even a fan of? Like,
Yeah.
If you can't enjoy having a guy like this on your roster that's just unequivocally just believes in himself, believes in his team, turned down more money to come back to Vanderbilt, he's our guy.
Yeah.
This is our guy. Right now is the team that in 10, 15 years, 20 years, you're going to be talking about.
Yep.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it. We have a few more questions here. Or one last question from Arlen says, thoughts, reactions to the preseason AP poll?
I thought the AP actually got it right for the most part. I thought the coaches poll, which is actually known as like the sports informational directionist or director, I'm having a stroke right now, poll, I thought they were really low on Penn State. I thought the AP poll was properly high on Penn State. I will say too, for the past, since the AP poll has been founded 31 years ago, 29 out of the 31 years, a preseason top 10 team has finished unranked. If you want to answer Arlen's question, and then I'm going to propose the question, who do you think that team will be this year?
That's a great question.
I've got mine, and we've talked about it. I've got mine.
And this is not a hate aspect by any stretch of the imagination. With the lack of returning production on their defense, the situation at quarterback, the lack of returning production on offense, I understand that there's some carryover. And I'm not, when I say this, it's not that I think Tennessee's going to like fall off an absolute cliff into being like 6-6 or something like that. That'd be a dream. I don't think that's going to happen. But I don't understand how Tennessee is still universally a top 25 team. Like, is it just because they made the college football playoff last season? Like, they're number 24 in this AP poll. That's lower than I've seen them in some other polls. So I'm not saying that's even that far off. But just the fact that they're a top 25 team. I'm like, based on what?
Based on what? Yeah.
Like, what are you looking at on this roster that just makes them a top 25 team? Is it just because they made the college football playoff last season? Is that just the reason? And you have to allow them the chance to lose in a regular season game to bump them out? That could be it.
I think that is their logic.
Which is fine. I mean, if that's what it is. Illinois at 12 is interesting. Arizona State at 11, talented team, but an interesting one as well. A lot of interesting names in this top 20. Kansas State at 17, SMU at 16. A lot of interesting names up there.
So, like I said, since it was founded and they started doing it, 29 of the past 31 years, a top 10 team that was in the preseason poll has finished the season unranked. Looking at that top 10, do you have a poll on who do you think that's going to be?
Can I give the most boring answer of all time?
Yes.
Miami.
Okay.
Not
a Carson Beck guy?
Not even not Carson Beck. I haven't dug into a lot of rosters outside the SEC. I just don't. Carson Beck's a good quarterback. I'm not sure he's a great quarterback to like elevate your team to be a top 10 team immediately. That just feels high for them. It feels like a very hype train ranking. In reality, they should be more somewhere preseason, like 19 to 23 or somewhere in there. But the Miami brand and Carson Beck has like taken over the minds of AP poll voters.
And we'll get into this next week. My team that I think will finish unranked that's currently in the top 10 is the LSU Tigers. Garrett Nussmeier continues to be banged up, has a history of being banged up. At what point does Garrett Nussmeier say, okay, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm going to sit and I'm going to rest and I'm not going to hurt my draft stock. LSU's offensive line continue. If you read their fall camp reports, continues to be poor. We knew going into fall camp that LSU was going to have a bad offensive line. It appears to be it's just that bad. And everybody and their mother ran all over LSU last year on defense. They were the worst rushing defense in the SEC, one of the worst in the nation. I don't think they did enough in the portal to fix that. And Brian Kelly just continues to prove he can't win the big ones. Couldn't do it at Notre Dame, has yet to do it at LSU. I'm not high on this LSU team at all. We'll get into our season preview next week. I think LSU finishes the season unranked.
Bold statement from Trevor Hulan. I think Nussmeier, if he's healthy, is the best quarterback in the SEC.
But he's
that's
never been healthy.
No, that's exactly.
Yeah, he's never
it's
ever
like,
been
It's
healthy.
exactly like what I've been saying.
Yeah.
But the bigger part of that I don't think people are taking into account is if he gets banged up. Nussmeier was on the fence about returning instead of going to the NFL draft.
Nobody's talking about that. Yeah.
If he gets some type of injury, he might call it and just be like, I'm not going to destroy my future to play on a team.
He's a first-round pick.
Yeah, as a first-round pick. So that's something I'm not seeing enough discussion about. It's just assumed they're going to be in the college football playoff conversations, so that's not going to be on the table. But the moment things slightly go south or there's a slight injury, that's a very logical decision for Nuss to say, I'm done. I'm done with this season.
Well, and what happens to their mojo if they go out week one and get spanked by a good Clemson team? You want to talk about maybe the best defensive line in the nation going up against a really bad offensive line? That's going to be a bloodbath.
It's going to be an interesting matchup. But anything else you want to add on an already long episode 328?
Can you believe next week is season preview? Do you want to tease who our guest is next week?
We will have our very own former Vanderbilt offensive lineman and tight end legend, Blake Froming, once again joining us for the season preview and predictions. He joined last season, and it was absolutely electric prior to the 2024 year. So we cannot wait to have Blake on next episode, and you're going to want to tune into that. It's going to be a great time as always. Anything else?
I've missed Blake. He's been on a hiatus in BFE, Wyoming, or Montana, and I
wrangling cattle and stuff.
I miss that boy. I miss that boy.
All right. For myself, Will Byrum, my co-host, Trevor Hulan, this has been episode 328 of The Door Report, powered by 615 Collectibles and Roback.